Good morning, welcome back to the channel. As always, if you like what you see, please like, please subscribe, please hit the little bell icon down in the corner. Please leave some comments down below. That would be fantastic. Okay, right, well, it's a Saturday morning. You can tell it's Saturday because it's dreich and horrible and miserable, unlike it's been for the rest of the week, because the rest of the week has been absolutely lovely and I couldn't get out because I was working. But rather than moan about it, too late because I've done my moaning. I've come out on the Saturday morning. This has to go out tomorrow morning, so I'll need to make sure I get this processed fairly quickly, edited and whatnot fairly quickly. But yeah, rather than moan about it, I've come down to a place called Polkemmet Country Park, which is in West Lothian. There's 3 country parks in West Lothian. This is probably my least favourite of the 3, partly because someone has plonked a golf course splat bang in the middle of it, which kind of ruins it a wee bit, unless you're a golfer, obviously. But to my mind, it ruins it, you know. However, not to worry. I've come to the other corner of the park from the golf course, where it's still kind of trees and whatnot. And we'll go down and see what kind of pictures we could take. I've got an idea, which I'll explain later, but I'm going to do a wee bit of ICM this morning. In addition to my usual kind of landscapes, or in this case treescapes, that I usually do. Okay, so yeah, let's press on. So that's me all set up for the first shot of the morning here, and what we're looking at is this. It's a tarmac path basically through the woods here, but it's all covered in leaves, so it looks very autumnal and very pretty. So I'm going to go for that. Let me talk you through the movie that I've got set up here. Okay, put that onto record like that. You can see the scene that we're looking at. Now, what I really want is to zoom in a bit. Oops. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in to maybe about there-ish. Something like that, yeah, so that we're focusing right on the very, very distant bit right down here. Do you see where the path just kind of disappears into the trees? Otherwise you get this mass. I'll bring it back here like that. Oops. You get all this mass down the bottom of just leaves and orange stuff, you know, which just kind of, it's not very interesting. So we'll bring it in, zoom in. I don't know why that... I'm hoping you're not seeing that when I'm zooming in and out, but it looks like, I don't know, Doctor Who's TARDIS, you know, the effect you used to get of room going through the time vortex back in the 70s, if you're old enough to remember that. But yeah, if I zoom in like that, and I'm just going to adjust it ever so slightly. Again, we're looking at the rule of thirds, and what I want is this tree here over on the rule of thirds. So I'm just going to spin it around ever so slightly to about maybe there. Bring it down a tad so that the horizon is again on that rule of thirds. But again, maybe, is there too much orange in the bottom of that? Ever so possibly. I'll zoom in again. Yeah, let's call it that. That looks okay. That's not bad, with everything disappearing into the distance. So you've got the path real, just a leading line leading in. You've got the trees over here. Yeah, this tree here, again, where's my finger gone? There, with all of the branches kind of pointing inwards as well. Yeah, that's the kind of thing we're after. Okay, so that's it. Nice autumnal scene. Now, what I'm going to do is just adjust my polarizer slightly to really make these colours pop, because see, if I switch it right down, you'll see that's it up. Okay, so it's really, really orange. See, the orange and the yellows are really kind of popping out, and that's because we're not getting all the reflections. I mean, it's been damp, it's been a bit rainy and whatnot, so there's a lot of reflections of light. Polarizer cuts out those reflections, which is why I'm using it in here just now. So yeah, that's it on full. Take it off a bit. You can see the difference that makes there. Okay, so I'm going to bring it back up to, let's say, about there. That should do it. Okay. Now my ISO 100, if I switch that movie off just now, okay, and I'm remembering to switch from auto ISO, which I had for the movie there, remembering that this time. Now that's actually making quite a bright picture, but not to worry. It's at 4 seconds exposure. I'm just going to check my settings on the display. Oops, it's a wee bit squint now. And grab the shot. 1, 2, 3, click. So the next shot, I promised you some ICM, so I'm going to do some ICM just now. But I'm going to try it with a wee bit of a difference. I was watching Kim Grant the other day, and she was doing some ICM. I don't know if you know Kim, she's a photographer based up in kind of Aberdeenshire direction. Very good vlogger, lots of kind of mindfulness stuff mixed in with her channel. It's all very interesting and fascinating stuff. I love it. Anyway, yeah, back to the point. She was doing some ICM. And I was watching it and thinking, well, what if, okay, you did your ICM, but you also took like a normal photograph, right, and did them like a double exposure. So you just kind of merge them together later on in Photoshop, obviously. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to do 2 shots, 1 ICM shot, 1 shot just straight without moving the camera. And also I'm going to do the same shot in between. But do something that Thomas Heaton was doing on his channel a couple of years ago. He was doing some ICM whereby he was just holding the camera for a split second before he started moving it in order to kind of get the image plus the movement. So he got some detail plus he got the movement. So I'm going to try all 3 of those, yeah? And then at the end of that, I'll show you the finished article. Okay, so first up, let me just put the movie on so that you can see it. There we go. Oh, and I'm going to have to go to my ISO auto again. Bring out some of the detail. As you can see, the tree here is in a lot of shadow. So I really want to try and bring out some detail on that on the sharp shot. Okay, so that's what I'm going to go for. I'm going to bracket it. I do quite like these kind of creepy looking branches that hang out the side here down the bottom. Top I'm not so fussy about, but I'll probably just kind of split that off when it comes to actually processing it. I'll crop it down a little, but we'll see. Anyway, this is just an experiment. It's not art, it's an experiment. Okay, so let me switch the movie off again. Okay, I'm going to switch it back to ISO 100. Okay, I've been playing about with the exposure time. 1.6 seconds should do it. I've got a filter on the front here. 1.6 seconds, just to kind of give me time to pull it out a bit. Okay. So that's that. So let me grab the first shot. I'm going to focus on the tree there. Okay, I might f4 as well, just because I want to bring the tree itself into kind of sharpness against the kind of the oranges and yellows and whatnot and greens in the background. Okay, so here we go, just for the straight shot. Here we go. Get that one. And it is starting to rain now, so I'm going to have to move myself a little bit, I think. And when you finish bracketing, camera, we'll move on to the next one. There we go. Right, so I'll switch off the bracketing now. Okay, to about there. Okay, and I'm going to loosen up the shot. Oops, to there. And I'm going to just grab it again. This time I'm going to hold it just for a fraction of a second, and then I'm going to pull it up. Ooh, I don't know if I like that. Let's try it again. Focusing again on the tree, and That's better. Okay, and this time I'm not going to hold it at all, I'm just going to pull it straight up. Okay, so once again focus on the tree, though I don't know why when we're looking at ICM. Okay, and we've got a nice kind of colour there. Okay, so let's do that one more time. Well, that's all right. So, yeah, here's the finished shot. So, next shot, I've come down to the river that runs through Polkemmet, and this is actually the River Almond that I've mentioned before. If you recall, I've done it when we were down at Almondale, the other country park, or one of the other country parks in West Lothian. I've pointed out the river. I don't think I've actually shot the river itself down there. But also a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago now maybe, I was along at 𝐂𝐚𝐸 where this river comes out into the River Forth, remember, with the boats? And the big causeway going out to the island. That's this same river, but here it's little more than a wide stream really. It's just, yeah, just a burn. And it's running fairly quickly today because we had lots and lots of rain last weekend, really the week before last. I took a holiday the week before last actually, just so I could catch up on all these vlogs, and it rained so much I only got out once. However, yeah, so I'm going to get a picture of the river here, and I've come to a bit down here and there's a waterfall just across here which you can't see. Okay, so what I'm going to do again is just to put that on there like that, and I'll switch it to auto so that you can see it. There, that's better. Alright, okay. Again, what I'm looking at here, I just want to get the oranges up here of the trees. I've got the top line of the river itself over above the waterfall, just sitting on the rule of thirds. Plenty of greens and whatnot up there, and I wanted to get something in the foreground, so I've got this little rock down here just in the foreground with some leaves on it. But I'm not going to focus on that, it's going to be slightly out of focus, I suspect. Problem I've got this morning is that it is, as I said earlier on, fairly dull, fairly dreary. So, when I'm down here, down by the river, it's actually fairly dark as well. and it was giving me an exposure time when I was using ISO 100 and around about f8, f9, exposure time was about 4 seconds, which, when you're photographing a waterfall, 4 seconds is way too long. You just get this white splurge, which isn't ideal. You want a much faster exposure, so I've taken it down to 1 second or so. And I've had to up the ISO. I didn't want to, but I had to up it. So I'm sitting at ISO 400, which is one I would usually kind of shy away from given the choice. But today, I don't really have the choice. It's either that or it ruins the composition. So I'll see if I can fix it in post to get rid of some of the noise. Okay, right. Now, when I take this shot, I'm not going to show it immediately. I've had some requests from people about processing and how do I go about processing. So what I'll do after this shot, we'll go back to the computer and I'll walk you through what I do to do the processing. Okay. So anyway, on with the shot. I need to watch actually on this shot, because down the bottom corner, just down here-ish, there's a bit of blue plastic or something in the water. I don't have my wellies on, so I can't wade in to go and get rid of it, but hopefully with the slightly longer exposure it shouldn't be too noticeable. I might be able to clone it out in theory. Alright, so again I'm just going to turn my polarizer, see if it makes a difference. What we're getting, the waterfall was a lot more white there. Turn it up and round, you see all the reflections coming on the water there. This polarizer was obviously switched pretty much fully on, so I'm going to turn it back again to what about there? What do you think? Yeah, aye, we'll call it there. Okay, so let me just switch that movie off. Alright, I'm going to switch it up, as I said, to ISO 400. Okay, and that's going to give me a time of roughly a second at f7.1 ISO 400. Okay, and I'm going to focus on the rocks up there. Oops. Switch that off, try to focus properly, Douglas. There. Okay, and I'm going to grab the shot. 1, 2, 3, back to the computer. Right, well, as I said there, I'm going to show you how I go about editing that photo. So first thing I'm going to do, what I didn't tell you I think in the video there, was that I shot it as a bracketed shot, just because I wanted to capture as much detail as possible. So I'm going to start getting all 3 images in like this. So I've got this first shot here, which is the one at f7.1 in 1 second exposure, and as you can see, the falls here are just a wee bit, as I said, just a kind of massive white, but that was kind of the fastest that I wanted it to get. I've also got the slightly shorter exposure that went down to 1/8 of a second. Okay, and you can see we do have a bit more detail up here, but obviously the picture is way too dark. And this one is way overexposed, but it catches the highlights. 8 seconds. Alright, so what we want to do first off is select them all. So I'm going to click on that dot there. Someone asked me how to do this before. Click on those 3 dots there. Okay, and hit select all. And then I'm going to click on those 3 dots again and hit merge to HDR. Our picture appears on the screen as an HDR image. That's the preview, and you can see we do actually have, because of the HDR, we've managed to get a little bit more detail. Because it's bracketed, it's brought in more detail into the falls across here. Okay, which is really what I was looking for. There's that piece of rubbish in the water that I was hoping would disappear, but well, let's have to deal with that as and when. Okay, so let's hit merge. I'm going to hit deghost actually first. I shouldn't have any ghosting apart from in the water. So yes, we do just have some ghosting in the water, but you'd expect that because the water is moving. So yeah, I'll hit merge. And what that will do is it will sit and process it for a bit. Oh no, it won't. It'll tell me save it first. So I'm just going to go in there and save the DNG. My digital negative. There we go. Okay, so that's our picture all combined. So we've got our medium, our dark, under light all combined into one. All right. So first thing we can look at here is it's actually automated a lot of these settings, basic settings, and that's okay. I'm going to leave it like that for now. I'm going to turn up the contrast just a tad, actually by quite a fair bit, because I like higher contrast, a wee bit of clarity as well. Not too much. Too much makes it look horrible like that, but a wee bit of clarity just to kind of sharpen it up a tad. Okay, and let's up the vibrance just a tad again, not too much, and the temperature, warm it up. Okay, because it is autumn, we want it a bit warmer. The water is a bit manky brown, but we'll just have to live with that. Okay. Right, next up I'm going to crop. Don't know if there's much in the way of cropping going to be needed. Let's take it, see what it looks like as a 16:9. Okay, I think as I said in the video, I wanted the top of the river along this rule of thirds here. We've got the trees like that, so yeah, that's okay, and we've got this big rock in the foreground like we had, and again, not too much of this rubbish down here, which isn't bad. And stones here sitting on the rule of third as well. Alright, yeah, I'm happy with that crop, so we'll go back to there. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is bring in some graduated filters. Now these have changed in the most recent version of Photoshop, and it's under masking now, right? So if I hit that button there, there's a new one for masking, okay? And we can select a linear gradient from there, okay? And I'm just going to drag that down from the top, and you can see from there, you can see where the gradient is going to take effect. Now, if I hold down the shift button, you can't see this here, if I hold down the shift button, it kind of keeps it straight, like that, it locks it on. As much as I wobble it about, only goes to particular angles, okay? But let's see, I want it maybe about to there, not too much, right? And I'm going to pull my exposure down on that filter just to darken it up the top a little, like that, not too much, as I say, maybe about there, okay? Let's bring some detail back into the shadows though, okay, which is fine. Turn the temperature down up here, up a wee bit more yellow up there. Okay, and I'm going to add another linear gradient down the bottom. Okay, now I usually do this as well. If you look at my photographs, you'll see it's fairly standard that I darken up the lower part of the oh, what did I do there? That was the one I want. Ooh, okay, I don't know what I did there. I'm not used to this new turn that down a tad. Is that going to affect everything? I'm not used to this, so it is. Linear gradient, that's the one I want to use. Okay. Linear gradient 2 is the one I want to use. That's better, okay. Yeah. Like I say, I'm not used to this new version of Photoshop yet, so if I turn that, that's still affecting everything. What have I done? I don't know what I've done. Never mind, that looks okay. So again, let's just go back to, we'll ignore our mask for now. We'll go back to the main picture. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is go down to curves. Okay, and as I said, I do like a lot of contrast in my picture, so I want to make the darks fairly dark. So I'm going to bring that down to there, but I want to bring some detail out there as well, so we'll pull the shadows up. I like to get the shadows quite high. Let's bring the darks up a wee bit. Maybe to about there. That should do it. And again, I'll pull the lights up and the highlights down. Alright, like that. Next thing I want to do is focus on the falls themselves. Okay, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to have another mask. Okay. Create new mask I'm going to go for, and it's going to be a radial gradient. Okay, radial is a circular one, so I'm going to pull that across the falls there. Just in there, okay. And what we're going to do is just bring the highlights down there quite a bit to try and get some detail out of those. I'll pull the whites down as well, ever so slightly. Okay, so that just puts a wee bit more detail into them. Turn up the contrast as well. Alright, like that. And again, that's quite nice. I don't think I need to bring it any further down. No, I think that's absolutely fine as it is. So back to the main picture again. That looks all right. Okay, so what was that? We've done the falls. Let's go for detail next. Let's just check and see. If I go up down here and we can collect on 100%. Now, as I said, I took it at ISO 400, so you can see, if you're looking closely, you can see this is fairly noisy, this shot, just in at the water here. So I'm going to up the noise reduction. Just a difference. A little bit of a difference, I think. Let's just up a wee bit more. Don't want it too much because you start to lose detail after a while. It takes a wee minute or two just to take effect, but yeah, I don't think improving that is going to pull any more detail out of that. Yeah, let's leave it like that. So go back down to fit again. There we go. That maybe just a little bit too contrasty now that I see it coming back there. So I'm going to go back up to the basic again. I'll pull the contrast down just a little bit. Yeah, that's better. That's better. Okay. So that was our detail. Let's go up to the colour mixer now. And this being autumnish, I'm going to pull the oranges up. A lot more orange in it and a bit more yellow. Okay. The greens are okay as well. Just turn them down just a tad, but I think they're okay at that. Alright, I could actually pull them right up like that. Ugh, make it really horrible in day glow. But let's not. Let's pull that down. Yeah, I think about there maybe. That's quite nice. That's quite nice. Yeah. Okay. Now the other thing I like to do is just mess around here with not the optics, color grading. Okay, so let's start with the highlights. Okay, and we want to get what I like to do is to get the highlights round about the yellows somewhere, maybe somewhere about there, and bring the saturation up just very, very subtly. I don't want it too much. Don't want that. Okay, because that's way too much. But down just about maybe there or so. Should do it. And the same with the darks. The opposite of yellow is blue. So if I bring that up to about maybe somewhere around about there, perhaps. And again, saturation. I'm just going to bring that up. I don't want it too much. Again, that's just too much. Like that. Keep it subtle. Down round about maybe about there-ish. Okay. Which gives it a nice kind of a nice effect. I quite like that. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but that's the kind of effect I'm after. And that, I think for now, oh no, one more thing I need to do. If I come in here, okay, and introduce another mask, okay, it's going to be a radial gradient. Alright, and first off, I'm going to bring it down here. I'm going to show the picture at 12% because this radial gradient, I'm going to cover pretty much the entire picture. Maybe about there. That should probably do it. Okay, and I want to hit invert up here because I want to affect the outside of it, and I want to bring that down just a little bit to create a bit of a vignette. Okay, just see. I'm still getting used to seeing what's actually in all these filters yet, but that should do it. That looks alright to me. Okay, bring that back up. There we are. You don't think that's too dark around the edges? I think it's fine. I think it's okay. Right, let's take that back to fit in view again. So there we go, that's our picture. That looks quite nice. Alright, so I will now hit open and bring it into Photoshop. So there we are, it's brought it into a Photoshop. The first thing I want to do, I think, is just to zoom so that it fits to the screen, like that. That should do it. I quite like it, but I'm just going to make it even more autumnal by hitting Edit, no, not Edit, Image and Adjustments, Photo Filter, and bring in a nice orange filter just to make it even more kind of, like I say, autumnal. Alright, the other thing I want to do is get rid of this blue nonsense down the bottom corner here. So I'm going to hit this one. This is the clone tool here. Okay. And I'm going to make it quite big. This doesn't need to be subtle. I'm just going to down there like that. Okay, and if we give it a second, it has a wee think. And it should, with a bit of luck, there we go, it's got rid of it. That's a bit nasty there. Let's click it again. There. That's better. Alright, and that, I think, is our picture. Okay, well, let's call it a day at that. Hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think of the shots. Let me know in particular what you thought of those ICM shots, because, like I say, it was just an experiment just to see how it worked. I don't think the ICM shot on its own was particularly great, but we'll see what it's like once they're all kind of mixed in. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the how to process thing as well, and I hope that that keeps those of you who've been asking for kind of how do I do this, how do I do that, I hope it keeps you kind of happy. I'm not used to this new version of Photoshop yet, so I might improve it as time goes on, once I find out where things have disappeared to. But yeah, that's that for now. If you like what you've seen, as I always say, please like, please subscribe, please hit the little bell icon down in that corner there. And most of all, leave some comments down there. Let me know what you think of this stuff. And that's it. I'll leave at the end my West Lothian playlist, so you can see all the vlogs I've taken in West Lothian, which is a sizable amount now, because during lockdown I couldn't leave West Lothian. So yeah, there's quite a few of them around and about. So sit down, cup of tea, packet biscuits, sit and watch them. I hope you enjoy them. Right, I'm on my way. I'll see you later. Cheers, bye. It's at 4 seconds exposure. I'm just going to check my settings on the display. Oops, it's a wee bit squint now. And grab the shot. 1, 2, 3. Click. Hi there.
You're all right.
You're okay.